All right. Welcome back, everyone. Long time no see. Thank you for joining us today with Austin FC defender Nick Lima. You guys know the drill, so we'll just jump straight into it and start off with Dennis De La Pena from Fox. Dennis, go ahead.
Hey, Nick. Wanted to get a veteran's take on Owen's game. It's kind of a cool moment for Owen Wolf. What is your take on his game and his potential in this league?
Yeah, I've had a lot of time to train with him now. He's been with us for most of the year. It's funny, we walked in and saw a kid sitting there in the training room, day one, and everyone's like, who is that kid? He looks identical to Josh, so I don't know how we didn't figure that out. But no, he's good. He works hard. He's a good player, very technical. He's smart. I think that's one of his biggest strengths. He's smart, so he's coachable and willing to learn. And, he's got a great teacher every day as well to continue to learn it. Environment, continue to learn it. But yeah, I'm excited to see he's going to go with his career, but it's also really cool for the academy to have its first homegrown player, and for us to have a kid like that that's going to be pushing the older guys, myself included. And he's talented and deserves what he got.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. We'll go to Mark Turner. Mark, go ahead.
Hey, Nick. How's it going?
How's it going?
Doing well. Doing well. You had one of your best games of the season in Canada last week. I know it's hard to maybe look at the game like that when the team suffers a defeat, but you had an outstanding match. Why do you think you showed so well, particularly offensively? Was this down to something Josh had kind of coached with you through the week, or did you just kind of grab the nettle and decide you were just going to hit that attacking third? What happened?
Well, thank you. I didn't think so myself, but I think it's kind of ironic when you mentioned that offensive aspect. We had a big emphasis on our balance when attacking. So having enough guys to stay balanced, keep us defensively intact so they didn't counter. Vancouver's a big counter team, and they've thrived in transition as we've seen in the past. And so one of my biggest roles, if not main role, was to stay balanced. So I think the opportunities that I saw that allowed me to go forward, I really tried to capitalize on him as far as just getting him behind, running, just, the physical capacity to be an option and to create chances. There was few. I wish a couple turned out differently, or some that I saw opportunities I didn't take for a reason. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it was just such a high emphasis on balance that when the opportunities came, I was eager just with my play style and who I am wanting to get forward. It was an opportunity that I wasn't going to pass it up. But, I thought we had very good structure and balance the whole, especially the first 60 minutes in that game, if not the best we've shown all season. So it's something that we'll definitely build off of, and hopefully we continue to do that in the future. It provides me opportunities to get forward as well.
So you mentioned that balance. It seemed to be a little offset on that hour mark when coach made a couple of changes. We understand the rationale for that. He gave us the background on that. But from your perspective on the field, what did that look like? Did you kind of feel like you had to slip into a more defensive mode? And
I think the game called for something different. They had a couple opportunities, they came out differently in the second half. We started well. And then, it was a good decision, and we just, it obviously didn't end our way, but we know what works and we can adapt, the next 30 minutes going forward, hopefully get a result against Houston. But, it's definitely something that we can go back to say, hey, this worked. We continue to do this and hopefully tune it and make it as hard to get opportunities, because Vancouver had little to no opportunities in the beginning. And then once we kind of tightened it up as well, unfortunately they had scored 2 goals. I think it was similar as well.
Thank you, Mark. We'll go to John Lupo. John, go ahead.
Thank you. Hey, Nick. So Josh mentioned that there'll probably be a large contingent of Boston fans making the trip down to Houston. You guys know what it's like to play them in a derby now. There's no need to say how big this match is. You guys know what a derby entails this time, but how big of a role do you think that the traveling supporters will be? And just talk about the fans in general and how amazing they've been for you guys all season.
They've been incredible. I couldn't have expected the turnout and just the passion that they've shown every game consistently. See it on social media throughout the week.
This is a
Before
notification
during the game.
is selected regarding your electric.
Sorry, Nick. 1 second, please.
All good.
Go ahead.
No, they play a massive role. They'll give us a feeling of comfortability. You know, we're away, we're in Texas, but them being there, hopefully they quiet out Houston's fans, and I have every expectation that they will. So it makes it fun. It adds, I think, a chip, at least for me personally, it adds that chip on the shoulder because they've made the effort to come out and be supportive. So you want to go out and do it for them. And I think that's been our goal. And once we finally get to see it every time at home, you really realize how important they are to our success. And, you know, I wish we could have 34 games at home, but, you know, they're rooting for us. And this will be a perfect example of their passion brought on the road as well, just in Houston.
Great, thank you. We'll go to Chris Bills with the striker. Chris?
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Nick. You know, you mentioned there sort of your feeling, and I think probably the feeling among a lot of you guys that it was the right decision, just didn't execute those last 30 minutes. But, you know, was that sort of, did you feel like that was the feeling from everybody in the locker room, you know, after that match? I'm sure that tensions are kind of high after a result like that. And then, you know, how do you kind of bring everybody back on the same page when you get back in that room on Monday, Tuesday, look at the film and sort of calm our heads? Can you take me through a little bit of that process? And I know like that's a bit of, you know, a lot of that stuff stays behind closed doors, but I'm just wondering about like the mood of the group coming off of, you know, the plane to Vancouver and then back into the facility on Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen at least in training, it's a resilient group. Guys are willing to work week in, week out, regardless of the result, which is good, win or lose. But yeah, guys, of course, are competitive and they're not happy with the loss. And there's been a couple this year that have stung, and they a little bit. We have Houston, and we know that we have a job to do as far as get a result there. We have to go and get a result. You got one game in front of us, and really that's all that matters. And that's been the emphasis this week. I think that loss hopefully then is a catalyst for, you know, going into Houston and being more dominant for 90 minutes, you know, getting a result. If it is 1-0, if it's, you know, 2-1, 2-0, whatever it is, we got to go get a result. And so this week of training has been pretty intense. And, you know, I think that is, to what you're saying, the feeling after that loss, that, yeah, we're tired of that. We don't want that feeling anymore. And it leaves a foul taste in your mouth. So we are hungry. And like I said, it's a competitive group. So we have nothing on our minds but going and getting a win in Houston now.
And I thought this match was maybe one of your better, you know, attacking, certainly the first half. And you're playing on the left. I just wonder, is there a correlation there? Do you feel like you do better attacking or better defending depending on which side you're on? Or is it just, you know, kind of game states and choosing those moments and being able to do it?
I think you know, when you read the game, it's similar when you're in the fullback position. I've gotten to a point where I feel comfortable on the left as much as I do on the right. Now, there's going to be certain strengths that I have on the right versus the left, but as far as just getting forward or defensively, it really seemed it is the same. You know, I've played almost equally the amount of time on the left as I have on the right in my career. Okay, maybe not quite equally, but a good amount. And so, you know, I just, like I said before, there were opportunities to get forward. And I think there is the personnel also on that side where we were a little more comfortable with that game for whatever reason. Actually, Vancouver formation, I think, had something to do with that. But, you know, I felt it was good, but the left is comfortable as well.
Thanks, Chris. And we'll wrap up today's availability with a question from Jorge Iturralda. Jorge.
Hi, Nick. Well, my question is kind of similar. You guys analyze game after game, but do you take a look on the season? I was talking to Josh about the last 19 games. You guys won 3 only. Do you guys take a look back not only on the last game, but also on how is everything changing game after game?
Yeah, I think where we are is a reason because of all the other games. So, you know, we've adapted from each game and been able to implement things that work, maybe didn't work. And that's why we're doing things in practice that we are today, as well as what our game plan will be for the weekend. Like, you know, we've seen Houston. before, and it wasn't just last game. So we're looking at them, and we're doing things that we did however many games ago, as well as what we need to improve on from this most recent game in Vancouver. So yeah, whether we watch film from, the past, it just depends, but yes, we will at times. And we're looking to continue on, the process of where we were at the beginning of the season to where we are now, and from Vancouver, and then also the Houston game before. So it all goes together, and nothing is just forgotten about. I mean, I call it selective amnesia, but as far as the last game when you lose, but there are things, and especially the coaching staff, they put in work day in and day out for more hours than, I'm willing to count for work in the day. But yeah, they put in the effort, and they're taking it all into consideration.
Do you feel this kind of pressure anytime with their Quicks?
With the what?
With San Jose? While you were on San Jose, do you feel this kind of pressure of losing or not getting, not getting the results you wanted to? Or this is the first time you feel that in your career?
I've felt pressure before, but I think, to a previous question, the fan base here are so passionate, and you feel it all the time, and you see the energy and the effort they put in and the time they allocate throughout the weeks and the days, and especially game day, to be there to support us. I want to call it pressure, but you call it a desire and a hunger to go out and give them what they deserve. So yeah, it makes me angry sometimes, when we lose, but I've always played my career with anger. That's how I played. It's how I am who I am, but it's something you want to give to the fans. It's our way of returning the favor, and I know they're not going to stop, so we're not going to stop trying.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
I think that's